VP and hold it for a few minutes, but every time he goes up, he's just getting taken down by this big Gren blob that rolls out, plus the KT, of course, which is sort of sitting in a bit of an awkward position. More M10s getting pumped out, I suppose. More M10s never hurt. Although an AT gun definitely wouldn't be a bad idea right now. So that sniper just got vet 3 as well, but it goes down. He loses the vet 3 sniper, and he might lose another sniper here. If he does, that's going to be horrible. There we go. That's another sniper lost. And if he loses this, is he going to crush the wall? I'm not sure. I think he deliberately didn't crush that wall there. He must have some. Oh dear. Oh dear. That's a V1 coming in. That's a V1 coming in, and we can guess what that's coming down here. That's going to be coming down right on the Sherman. Oh, it came down on the supply yard, and there we go. That was fucking huge. I mean, I fucking love V1s. They're just so awesome. But as you can see, that was like a small tactical nuke. Does a lot of damage to the barracks, nearly kills it, and destroys the supply yard. Which is really not very good for the American player. Losing a supply yard is not something that you want to happen, because it's rather expensive to build back again. M10's going out to try and snipe Grens. Not really what you want to be doing with a M10. I mean, he's getting a bit lucky here, I think, but M10s generally have virtually no chance in hell of sniping units. I think these guys are saying the GGs now after after losing. Well, after the American player lost. I mean, he lost so many M10s there, trying to sort of low charge that KT there. KT there was used with pretty nicely, really. But ultimately, that was just a really, really great comeback, as was promised in the replay name. I mean, you know, I guess it just shows the power of Tier 2 Terror in this current retail patch. You really can make a comeback if you just build med bunkers and spam Grens, and you eventually get some vet on them, and then just rely on the KT to do the talking once you get to the late game. Because, you know, you really can survive on not very many VPs for a good long time, as long as you at least hold one of them. So I suppose the game's not completely over for the American player. I mean, he does still have far superior VPs, but I think he knows that he's just not going to be able to kill the KT, which is the crucial thing right now. Although he does have some vet 3 rifles, which of course do get 150%, well, they do 150% damage, an extra 50% damage, which is pretty ridiculous when you think about it. Especially if you give them a Shrek, that's like, you know, 150, 160 damage per Shrek hit, which is pretty amusing. But he's running him around as a 2-man squad, which is an interesting move, to say the least. KT has now got a damage engine after getting stickied, but he's in pretty good location, really. He's surrounded by support. He's got his repair bunker repairing him, and he's absolutely fine. If the American player loses that vet 3 rifle squad, it really is going to be GG. Nope, he just manages to keep it. If he can pick up a Shrek or something with that squad, maybe he would have had a chance to turn this around. But Pepsi was pretty good at making sure he didn't drop any Shreks there, making sure he didn't send out the Gren squads with Shreks just to get sniped out. That only happened once, I think. So fairly well played in that respect. M10s are just sitting in the backfield trying to get repaired, but with only 2 of them, I'm not sure how much of an indentation he's going to be able to make in that. And I suppose this also shows the sad thing about 2.601 patch, which is that you really can't win as Americans if, even if you totally dominate the early game, you can't win without AT guns. There's just not very much flexibility as far as American teching goes. You pretty much have to get the barracks. WSC is a luxury that can come later. And you pretty much always have to get the motor pool, because without it you are just going to fail against a tier 2 terror type strategy, or any sort of tier 4 heavy strategy. Especially given, you know, super packs in this 2.601 patch. Of course, a lot of this is getting addressed in the beta patch. Motor pool will be less of a sort of necessity and more of a just a sort of another viable strategy that you can use. Going to tank depot is actually going to be something that you will be able to actually do and not get totally owned, because Shreks, of course, have been given a big fat hit with a nerf stick. Rifles, I think, are trying to get a sticky off, or maybe they're just trying to keep LOS. M10s are moving in, trying to get some long-range shots here. Couple of penetrations, couple of bounces. It probably wouldn't be such a bad idea to try and squish with these M10s. I mean, learning how to do infantry squishing correctly is a very, very crucial skill if you want to be really, really good at the game. Especially when it comes to using these sort of fast vehicles that typically aren't very good against infantry, but with skill and with a bit of squishing ability, they can become very, very good. Such as these, you know, sort of these Grens just sitting in the crater. They can, you know, they could have been easily just squashed by good M10 usage. Although I can't blame him for not wanting to just run headlong into a KT there. With 27 infantry kills and 2 tank kills, very respectable. Although I think what's really made the KT win the game here was just its sheer armor, just bouncing everything. He just could not penetrate it at all. And of course, getting the American player down to 160 points now with complete VP control. And now, instead of the sea of red that it was earlier for the Wehrmacht player, it's now pretty much 60-70% map control for the Wehrmacht player, who is now seeing a sea of blue for himself. And that was the sniper, I think, that just went down, gibbed by the KT, so I guess that shows that you should never try and snipe with the KT around. Whoa! That shot just showed the sheer splash of the KT. 4 guys get taken out in one shot. Pretty unfortunate. He's still making engineers back at the Wehrmacht base, but I'd say this game is pretty much over now. I mean, look at this Gren lob here. It's just huge. When you have that masses of Grens, really, even Sherman isn't going to stop you, unless there are some sort of suppression platforms on the field. It's just going to be able to roll over everything, really. Especially with the snipers now dead in their various fairly hilarious ways. KT being a boss again and just deflecting shot after shot at max range here, but also missing with his gun, which is kind of weird. M10's coming in. And finally the whoa, M10 goes down, gets absolutely vaporized. He's trying to circle the KT with the Sherman. Whoa, an artillery strike gets put down. That was a bombing run. I think he may have just killed his own Sherman with a bombing run too. Hard to tell. But he's obviously decided that he's had enough with this game and that the game is well and truly over. But this was, of course, as I said before, a classic example of Tier 2 terror. The reason why it works, well, I mean, who needs to buy men's when you can get other cool stuff like med bunkers and get free men? Who doesn't like free stuff? And that's GG right there. That is the end of the game. There is no way that the American player can come out from this now, especially with losing those rifle squads. Too busy chatting. But yeah, that V1 was just the icing on the cake, really. Given that I mean, all he has to do now is just roll in with the KT and just, you know, one shot could kill that barracks, and that would really be the end of it. Look at that Garen blob. It's just so horrible. Even the Volks with Shreks look pretty badass. I mean, if you roll up with that thing, with the KT behind, yeah, and nothing is going to stop you aside from a couple of 30 cals and some ATGs, which were crucially lacking this game. Of course, this being 2.601, that kind of weird stuff happens. And now it's the base rush time, and the only 30 cals around here are the base MGs. And they won't save you from this kind of blob. And looks like we've actually gone for Tier 4 finally. You typically don't see this in your average Tier 2 terror game, except obviously right near the late game, and it does tend to drag on like this. And the Ostwind is just, yeah, he's just going in and just laughing in the American player's face, really. taking down that MG in no time at all. And that's another V1 coming in. Probably coming in on the triage or something like that. Coming down the HQ maybe. There we go. Took less of a chunk out of the HQ than I thought it would, and there we go. That's playback over, down to 3 VPs and the end for the American player. So as I said, very, very good game. Shows the power of certain strategies, and I mean, it's really just a case of looking to the future now, looking to the beta patch, which will be out shortly, and thinking about how awesome that's going to be with all these new strategies that are going to arise. It won't just be every single game Tier 2 Terror or Tier 3 Blitz, although Tier 3 Blitz is probably going to become quite a bit more popular, given the pack nerf and the sort of the general Tier 3 Blitz buff. So I hope you guys all enjoyed watching. That was a pretty lengthy game. I know that my throat is beginning to actually become quite painful now, but I hope it was worth it, and I'll see you guys next time.